There has been controversy about the real identity of the architect of the Leaning Tower of Pisa. For many years, the design was attributed to Guglielmo and Bonanno Pisano, a well-known 12th-century resident artist of Pisa, known for his bronze casting, particularly in the Pisa Duomo. Pisano left Pisa in 1185 for Monreale, Sicily, only to come back and die in his hometown. A piece of cast bearing his name was discovered at the foot of the tower in 1820, but this may be related to the bronze door in the façade of the cathedral that was destroyed in 1595. A 2001 study seems to indicate Diotisalvi was the original architect, due to the time of construction and affinity with other Diotisalvi works, notably the bell tower of San Nicola and the Baptistry, both in Pisa. Construction of the tower occurred in 3 stages over 199 years. On 5 January 1172, Donna Berta di Bernardo, a widow and resident of the House of dell'Opera di Santa Maria, bequeathed 60 soldi to the Opera Campanile's Petrorum Sancta Maria. The sum was then used toward the purchase of a few stones which still form the base of the bell tower. On 9 August 1173, the foundations of the tower were laid. Work on the ground floor of the white marble campanile began on 14 August of the same year during a period of military success and prosperity. This ground floor is a blind arcade articulated by engaged columns with classical Corinthian capitals. Nearly 4 centuries later Giorgio Vasari wrote, Guglielmo, according to what is being said, in the year 1174, together with sculptor Bonanno, laid the foundations of the bell tower of the cathedral in Pisa. The tower began to sink after construction had progressed to the 2nd floor in 1178. This was due to a mere 3-meter foundation, set in weak, unstable subsoil, a design that was flawed from the beginning. Construction was subsequently halted for almost a century, as the Republic of Pisa was almost continually engaged in battles with Genoa, Lucca, and Florence. This allowed time for the underlying soil to settle. Otherwise, the tower would almost certainly have toppled. On 27 December 1233, the worker Binonato, son of Gerardo Bodici, oversaw the continuation of the tower's construction. On 23 February 1260, Guido Speziali, son of Giovanni Pisano, was elected to oversee the building of the tower. On 12 April 1264, the master builder Giovanni di Simone, architect of the Camposanto, and 23 workers went to the mountains close to Pisa to cut marble. The cut stones were given to Reynaldo Speziali, worker of Saint Francesco. In 1272, construction resumed under Di Simone. In an effort to compensate for the tilt, the engineers built upper floors with one side taller than the other. Because of this, the tower is curved. Construction was halted again in 1284 when the Pisans were defeated by the Genoans in the Battle of Meloria. The 7th floor was completed in 1319. The bell chamber was finally added in 1372. It was built by Tommaso di Andrea Pisano, who succeeded in harmonizing the Gothic elements of the belfry with the Romanesque style of the tower. There are 7 bells, one for each note of the musical major scale. The largest one was installed in 1655. Between 1589 and 1592, Galileo Galilei, who lived in Pisa at the time, is said to have dropped 2 cannonballs of different masses from the tower to demonstrate that their speed of descent was independent of their mass. The primary source for this is the biography Racconto Storico della Vita di Galileo Galilei, historical account of the life of Galileo Galilei, written by Galileo's pupil and secretary Vincenzo Viviani in 1654, but only published in 1717, long after his death. During World War II, the Allies suspected that the Germans were using the tower as an observation post. A U.S. Army sergeant sent to confirm the presence of German troops in the tower was impressed by the beauty of the cathedral and its campanile, and thus refrained from ordering an artillery strike, sparing it from destruction. Numerous efforts have been made to restore the tower to a vertical orientation or at least keep it from falling over. Most of these efforts failed, some worsened the tilt. On 27 February 1964, the government of Italy requested aid in preventing the tower from toppling. It was, however, considered important to retain the current tilt, due to the role that this element played in promoting the tourism industry of Pisa. A multinational task force of engineers, mathematicians, and historians gathered on the Azores Islands to discuss stabilization methods. It was found that the tilt was increasing in combination with the softer foundations on the lower side. Many methods were proposed to stabilize the tower, including the addition of 800 tons of lead counterweights to the raised end of the base as a temporary intervention. The tower and the neighboring cathedral, baptistry, and cemetery are included in the Piazza del Duomo UNESCO World Heritage Site, which was declared in 1987. The tower was closed to the public on 7 January 1990, after more than 2 decades of stabilization studies and spurred by the abrupt collapse of the Civic Tower of Pavia in 1989. The bells were removed to relieve some weight and cables were cinched around the third level and anchored several hundred meters away. Apartments and houses in the path of a potential fall of the tower were vacated for safety. The selected method for preventing the collapse of the tower was to slightly reduce its tilt to a safer angle by soil removal 38 cubic meters, 1,342 cubic feet, from underneath the raised end. The tower's tilt was reduced by 45 centimeters, 17.7 inches, returning to its 1838 position. After a decade of corrective reconstruction and stabilization efforts, the tower was reopened to the public on 15 December 2001, and was declared stable for at least another 300 years. In total, 70 metric tons 77 short tons of soil were removed. After a phase 1990–2001 of structural strengthening, the tower has been undergoing gradual surface restoration to repair visible damage, mostly corrosion and blackening. These are particularly pronounced due to the tower's age and its exposure to wind and rain. In May 2008, engineers announced that the tower had been stabilized such that it had stopped moving for the first time in its history. They stated that it would be stable for at least 200 years. At least 4 strong earthquakes hit the region since 1280, but the apparently vulnerable tower survived. The reason was not understood until a research group of 16 engineers investigated. The researchers concluded that the tower was able to withstand the tremors because of dynamic soil structure interaction, DSSI. The height and stiffness of the tower together with the softness of the foundation soil influences the vibrational characteristics of the structure in such a way that the tower does not resonate with earthquake ground motion. The same soft soil that caused the leaning and brought the tower to the verge of collapse helped it survive. 2 German churches have challenged the tower's status as the world's most lopsided building, the 15th-century square Leaning Tower of Suhrhausen and the 14th-century bell tower in the town of Bad Frankenhausen. Guinness World Records measured the Pisa and Suhrhausen towers, finding the former's tilt to be 3.97 degrees. In June 2010, Guinness World Records certified the Capital Gate building in Abu Dhabi, UAE as the world's furthest leaning man-made tower. It has an 18-degree slope, almost 5 times more than the Pisa Tower, but was deliberately engineered to slant. The Leaning Tower of Wanaka in New Zealand, also deliberately built, leans at 53 degrees to the ground. Elevation of Piazza del Duomo. About 2 meters (6 feet) DMS height from the ground floor. 55.863 meters (183 feet 3.3 in), 8 stories height from the foundation floor. 58.36 meters (191 feet 5.64 in), outer diameter of base. 15.484 meters (50 feet 9.6 in), inner diameter of base. 7.368 meters (24 feet 2.1 in), angle of slant. 3.97 degrees or 3.9 meters (12 feet 10 in) from the vertical weight. 14,700 metric tons, 16,200 short tons, thickness of walls at the base. 2.44 meters, 8 feet 0 in total number of bells, 7. Tuned to musical scale, clockwise. First bell, L'Assunta, cast in 1654 by Giovanni Pietro Orlandi, weight 3,620 kilograms, 7,981 pounds. Second bell, Il Crocifisso, cast in 1572 by Vincenzo Possenti, weight 2,462 kilograms, 5,428 pounds. Third bell, San Ranieri, cast in 1719–1721 by Giovanni Andrea Moreni, weight 1,448 kilograms, 3,192 pounds. Fourth bell, La Terza, first small one, cast in 1473, weight 300 kilograms, 661 pounds. Fifth bell, La Pasqueretta or La Giustizia, cast in 1262 by Lodoringo, weight 1014 kg, 2235 pounds, 6th bell. Il Vespuccio, second small one, cast in the 14th century and again in 1501 by Nicola di Jacopo, weight 1000 kg, 2205 pounds, 7th bell. Dal Pozzo, cast in 1606 and again in 2004, weight 652 kg, 1437 pounds. Number of steps to the top 296. About the 5th bell. The name Pasqueretta comes from Easter, because it used to ring on Easter Day. However, this bell is older than the bell chamber itself, and comes from the Tower Vergata in Palazzo Pretorio in Pisa, where it was called La Giustizia, the Justice. The bell was tolled to announce executions of criminals and traitors, including Count Ugolino in 1289. A new bell was installed in the bell tower at the end of the 18th century to replace the broken Pasqueretta. The circular shape and great height of the campanile were unusual for their time, and the crowning belfry is stylistically distinct from the rest of the construction. This belfry incorporates a 14 cm (5.5 in) correction for the inclined axis below. The siting of the campanile within the Piazza del Duomo diverges from the axial alignment of the cathedral and baptistry of the Piazza del Duomo.